In a previous video, we fetched some of the records from different tables and then added them to our form to generate these drop-down menus, then radio buttons and checkboxes. Now, one drop-down which we haven't done is the one for the year. And this is because year does not have its own table. Year comes from the books table. If we go and check our database, you'll see we don't have any years table here, but if we check our books, you'll see there's a column called year, and each book has year associated with its record. So this is where we're going to actually get the list of different years. But obviously we don't want to, if there is a record that contains year that other record may contain, like here, for instance, record with number 2 and number 4, they all from 2001. We don't want this 2001 to be displayed twice. So let's go back to our editor, and the first thing we are going to do again is to create a test. We're going to test unit model, and class we are going to create here is going to be called year test. This one will not extend the lookup model case because it's not the same nature. This one will simply extend model case. So this one here. So before each test we're going to migrate tables, and after each test we're going to remove them all. And we are also going to use model data trait, so use model data. And the next thing we're going to do is to create the first test, and actually the only test within this class. So public function and returns correct years collection. And we need to add the test tag to indicate that it is actually a test. And we're starting with the book. So book equals new book. Let's import this class here. So we're going to use statement book model. And now that we have our book, what we can do is to add a few books to the database. So just by using the create method on the book instance. So book create, and we add this book data. And let's add year field. We want to be 2016, for instance. And let's duplicate this line 3 times. Then we have 17 and 18. Now, book data, if you may remember, if I click on this one to take me to this method, it basically does the same thing as we did with this lookup data. It merges the default array with records that are generated by Faker. And if there's anything sent through as an argument, if we want to replace any of these fields, then that's then replacing by using this merge data function. So if we have default year here generated by the Faker, but if we provide the year through the array, this one will be replaced with whatever we pass through as an argument. And that obviously then creates the record based on it. So we should now have 3 records of the books. Each one should have a different year, as you can see, 2016, 17, and 18. But what I'm going to do just to check that it works correctly, I'm going to create another one with 2018, just to make sure that we only get one 2018 record in our collection. Okay, so we start with years equals and new year. I'm going to do it in line here. As you can see, I'm not going to be instantiating here. It's not year. We don't have year classes, so that's why it's highlighting this here. And then years is what we are going to call. So let's quickly create this model. If we go to the models, and then we're going to create the new year model. And with the year model, this one extends just the model, unlike the other ones. And it's going to have protected table property called books, because we are going to get these years from the books table. And then it also is going to have the method called SQL, which will override the default SQL method on the model. If we go back here, you can see the default one is only select all from table, but we need something different this time. So return select, and we're going to use distinct, and then table name, this table, and we concatenate it with the field name, which is going to be year. And distinct basically is going to get a single record. If there are multiple with the same value, then it's going to only get one of them. So if we have like 2018 twice, then it's going to only include it once with within the returned value, basically array in our case. And then as year, so we're going to refer to it as year field. And then from this table, and then semicolon at the end. So that's our SQL statement for this specific class. And then we also going to specify the class years, so public function years. And this time we're going to return this order by, same way as before, but rather than name, we are going to have year here. And then we want to get all records. Let's add the doc blocks again. So this one is going to be a string. And then for the SQL, we're going to have string as well as a returned value, and then SQL statement for the summary. And years is going to return not mixed, it's going to be array, and get all years. And that's our year class completed, so we can close it. Back to our test, let's import the year class now. And the next thing here we're going to do is, now that we have all these years collected, because obviously they are book records now that we've created 4 of them, we can fetch all these years. So we should technically have only 3 of them, because we use this distinct distinct SQL function, which should eliminate duplicates. So we only have 3 different years here. Let's first check this assert count 3 when we pass years through as an argument. Otherwise, if it fails, we're going to put years count did not equal 3, and then semicolon after this assert count. Let's now save it, go to the terminal and run the test, but just this specific one. So PHP unit test unit model and year test, and we've got a problem here, and I think I know what it is, because it doesn't even give us the table name. We are fetching everything. I mean, we're trying to save records to the books table, but if we go to the book class, you can see that we are missing this protected table property, which specifies which table this specific class is associated with. So protected table, and it's going to be books. Save it. Let's remove these unnecessary spaces here. Save it. If we go back to the terminal and run the test again, and it does pass. We've got 1 test and 1 assertion. We only check count at the moment. So let's go back to the editor. The next thing we're going to do is to assert that the year basically is equal to whatever we expect. So assert equals, the first one is going to be 2016. Let me just create a few new lines here. 2016, when we take years, the first record at index 0, and then take year property. Otherwise, we're going to say year does not match 2016. And semicolon, and I'm going to duplicate it 3 times, because that's how many times I need to do it. So 3 times. Then for the next record, it should be 17, because they obviously sorted by year as well. So index 1 and index 2. For the last one, it's going to be 2018. Let's update the messages as well, 17 and 18. So we have 4 assertions now in this test. Let's save it, go back to the terminal, run a test, and we have 1 test for assertions, all of which pass. So now I think it's a good time to go back to our index.php file. We can close this. Actually, let's add this doc block straight away here as well for this book table property. Save it and close it. Back to our index.php, and let's add these years to our form. So years, now year class instance, let's import it as well, and let's remove these brackets here because we really don't need them. We don't have any constructor there to play with, so let's remove these ones, and rather than locations, years this time. Okay, so we have years. Let's copy the name of the variable back to our form, and there we go. This is where years going. So for each years as year, and closing for each tag, then option, value, echo, year, and exactly same thing goes for the value. So I'm just going to copy this whole thing because year has this year property only. So save it and let's go back to the browser, refresh the page, and there we go. All our years are here. So 2001, you may remember in a database was twice, but it's only once here by using this distinct SQL function, 2005 and 2007. So that's it in this video. Let's move to the next one.